I thank every one of you for being here. This is actually a live recording of this brand new podcast, What the Funk. As Nicholas just told us, I have a couple of guests with me. To my left, I have Thijs Verijn, who is from Varnish Software, and to my right, Lars Jankowski from NFQ Asia. So, gentlemen, you've been working in tech for a little while. Have you ever, I don't know, had anything go at all sideways while you were working in tech?
Does the Pope have a funny hat?
Does the Pope have a funny hat? I like this. What about you, Lars?
Well, for sure. Tons.
Anything stand out in your mind? Now, I'll open the floor here. So, once upon a time, back when I was a baby developer, not developing babies, I was a young developer. So this is like 2003. I was working on a project, basically a startup, and we were collecting email addresses ahead of the launch of this race series. And something had happened, and I just wasn't satisfied with the state of the database and everything. So I just said, okay, well, I'll drop the database. I'll restore from backup. Guess what I didn't have? A backup. And for me, I thought that was the end of my career. Like straight away, I'm just done. I'll be blacklisted. No one will ever hire me. Well, at least Shopware hired me eventually. So, what sticks out in your mind?
Well, the one that still haunts me in my dreams is we used PowerDNS at a hosting company, a big Belgian hosting company, and PowerDNS has a MySQL backend, so you can run SQL queries. And of course, when you develop this, you need a staging database. My advice to all of you is don't host it on the same server. Do not do it. Because when you're done with your tests, you want to truncate table DNS records, right? Do not truncate DNS table records with tens of millions of DNS records in it. DNS is tricky in that matter. Now, the good thing about this is if you're sitting on that stack of data on a MySQL server, the truncate needs to actually access the file system because it's too big to fit in memory. And they managed to kill the process before it actually started deleting things.
Wow, like basically running down the hall almost and practically unplugging.
Yes, unplugging.
What about for you, Lars?
Well, the worst story I have is when I was VP engineering at Kayak in the US.
Yep.
You know I like to diss Americans, so here you go. We did a release, and the website went down. And at this time, Kayak spent around $1 million on AdSense per day. So if you are off half a day, it's like $500,000 burned, not even talking about user experience. So I had the joy to find out what happened. And what happened is that one particular developer, he had the idea to make a select star on the email subscribers on every single click. Even without any index, without anything. And I'm like, this is not a good idea, because like every click, every user, you bring down the whole system. And he just looked at me and he was like, well, it works on my machine. and I'm like, yes, but you have 100 test records and we have 60 million email subscribers alive. And he's like, what has that to do with me? That's an ops problem. That happened.
I feel like we could start a fight in here with between ops and development. Now, aside from this, I know I've been party to the occasional chance to dig into a problem with someone. Have you ever found yourselves like leaning over, maybe pairing up with somebody and digging in and finding a problem, maybe something that they hadn't spotted yet or anything like that? What was that like?
Well, I work for Varnish Software, which is a caching product. So we tend to mask a lot of problems that sit behind the scenes. We just store a cached copy and store it for as long as we can. It's actually more of a good news situation and a bad news situation. 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I was in Vegas for a big trade show. And the tricky thing is when you sell enterprise software, is the clients don't always like you to name them. So I won't name them, but it's a big sports league in the world that had deployed something that is being consumed by millions of people at a daily basis, and their entire production was down because of a deployment error. But no one noticed because there were caches sitting in front of it. This is not me pitching our product, it's just me saying caching can mask a lot of shit.
What about you? I know you've worn a lot of hats over the years.
Yeah. So I'm too old. I'm not coding anymore since 14 years. pretty much, and everybody of my people is very happy about that. I did code, but they were still, at one day they said, Lars, can you please stop doing that? You're really messing up everything. So, but the worst thing what I had is I was interim CTO at a company, and I was sitting there with the developer, and the big CEO came, and the developer turned around and he's like, I have an idea here, and can we do this to the CEO? And I saw that right in front of me. And the CEO turned around and said to the developer, you, the German C, so the formal, he said, you are not here to have any ideas. You are here to do exactly what I tell you to do. And he was like, and I was like, holy shit, this is going to be fun to work here.
Oh my, wow, that's, I mean, hopefully you ran away from that place.
No, we exchanged the CEO.
Oh good, even better. You deleted the correct user from the top.
Correct.
Now, as far as strategies go, so we've all been through these things over the years. Do you have any strategies or advice? I mean, for me, this really why we like to tell these stories is, I want to make sure that no one really feels like they're an imposter. I mean, if anyone is an imposter in this room, it's clearly me. But I want to make sure that everyone out there feels a little bit normal and isn't afraid to mess up. Even in production, although hopefully not. Do you have any advice for that you use for yourself or for people out there, just to say maybe to help them keep a perspective around when they're dealing with a big problem, or maybe to even avoid problems altogether?
Well, most of my friends and the people I hang out with are not in IT, so everything that we do, although it's interlocked with society, it's not that important. Are we saving lives? Are we making the world a better place, really? We develop code, we deploy stuff. Yes, it helps society, but if it's down for an hour, nowadays when Google is down for an hour, which can happen, it's news.
Yeah.
Should that really be the case? Can we live for another hour? I don't know. Is it that important?
That's a reasonable perspective. What about you?
Well, I'm not sure if people with critical infrastructure would agree to what you just said.
Well, critical infrastructure.
like my plane flying, for example.
Yes.
But
no, we're in the context of e-commerce.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, it's money. Of course, it is.
Yeah.
Can we just chill for 1 hour?
Yeah.
Let the people who are experts.
Good luck to tell that the managers and the shareholders and the investors.
I mean, I just for the record, I believe Shopware is well above our SLA threshold for the year, but I think that's the case.
Very well said.
And believe me, it has a lot to do with me. So, I guess as we continue on with this theme, I'm wondering if have you heard about a story recently in tech? Now we can expand this even out from development, programming. Anything recent in tech that comes to mind, or any kind of technology? I mean, we were just downstairs talking about plane doors flying off of planes while they're in flight.
You just told me you didn't want to get killed, so maybe we should change the subject.
Oh, that's right. I shouldn't be talking about Boeing on stage.
No.
Or even on a podcast. But seriously, so I think about there are some notable examples. So there are exceptions to this rule. There was the the Therac back in the day. This was a machine. It was an imaging machine early on, and it had some firmware, and that firmware had a bug. But what this bug ended up resulting in is people were getting literally lethal doses of radiation when they were just trying to get something imaged. So that is one of those instances where you don't want to funk up.
And whatever I said about relax and chill, it doesn't apply here.
Doesn't apply there. So there are boundaries for this, but I like the framing about, we're talking about e-commerce. We're talking about agency work. We're talking about client work. We're talking about helping, I think, even our clients understand more and more about, the work that we do. So again, they get this proper perspective. What I think is a proper perspective. I mean, yes, it does matter when the site goes down, but the world doesn't stop turning.
And maybe we should add a bit more. If you can answer the why question, why did this happen? Not what happened or how it happened, but why it happened. Yeah. Maybe it prepares you to learn a thing or two and to avoid this problem happening again.
Now, you have a huge company, a relatively large company. You all must deal with, this ultimately is an issue of quality assurance. But it's also about confidence building, because I think one of the things that you've done over your career, at least from what I've seen in the many years we've known each other, is you bring people in and you build them up. And that requires a certain kind of a nurturing approach. What's the formula there? Do you have things in place for your staff, your more senior staff, to support the lower staff? You have a certain culture of learning, a culture of being able to fuck up?
Oh man, Ben, I could talk hours now about that.
You have exactly 19 minutes.
Yeah. No, seriously. A growth mindset, in my opinion, is the most important capability of any software developers nowadays, especially in times of AI. If you don't have that, and if you are like stuck in your old thinking, you're going to have a problem, and you're going to be obsolete in 5 years. So we need to understand it's a new world. The time is over where you handcraft every line. Maybe in some, if you write the software for, I don't know, SpaceX, it might be different, yeah. But in e-commerce, it's not. So we need to change. We need to learn and grow. So we try to hire people with a growth mindset. We have a very fancy HR process where we, for any key employee, not for normal developers, but like from lead level up, we actually have like a 90-minute test where we test common sense and growth potential and mindset, and not necessarily tech skills. Yeah. And this is something what is really important for us.
I think I can even chime in on that, because I know that's what I did when I was working at an agency, and I had to put together. Well, the problem was we couldn't hire e-commerce developers. They were like a rare white elk out there. You couldn't find them, and if you did see one out of the corner of your eye, they were gone before you know it. And I ended up hiring a bunch of kids fresh out of college, fresh out of a computer science degree. Now, they didn't know what HTTP stood for. They didn't understand stateless protocol. So I had to remediate. They didn't even understand MVC. I don't know what the hell these kids are learning in their computer science degree. Who here has a computer science degree? I'm just really curious. Not me. Okay, yeah.
I learned Flash.
You went, oh, Macromedia, the good old days.
I learned Flash.
I think I did some action script a couple times.
This is serious. I learned Flash, and it's not useful in real life.
It's really not useful. Apple killed the.
They did.
Killed the Macromedia star, but this setting up this culture, and then finding, but in particular finding these growth-minded individuals. I mean, part of that is going to be a willingness to learn, and actually, if we think about it, probably a willingness to completely blow things up, and you just hope that you have the guardrails in place. Yeah, that works for me. Now, you haven't always worked at Varnish, right?
No, I haven't. This is only my second job. I believe in long-term stuff. I worked at a hosting company for 15 years, and now 5 years at Varnish Software.
Yeah, what was the culture like at Combo?
The context is, I'm Belgian. I worked in a Belgian company, so it's pretty small, but it was very human-centric. Yeah. And the CEO realized that by investing in people and creating a great culture, he'd get return on that investment. So a lot of people thought they had it better elsewhere, so they left. A lot of them came back.
Yeah. Do you find this a challenge? Because I know, as I, with my American mindset, look, very generically at Southeast Asia, and even going over into the Indian subcontinent. Over the years, I've had to advise some agencies on how they can actually prevent this problem when you have a culture of chasing the next higher pay level, and you put an investment in someone, you end up investing in someone else's business. But my advice over the years was, hey, look, no matter what the culture is here, do you want people who are uneducated? Do you want people who are not connected to a broader community where they're going to learn the bulk of their skills and receive outsized benefit? But you working where having your business in Vietnam, amongst a few other places, how do you handle these kind of issues of ensuring or enabling this kind of growth-minded individual while not encouraging them to grow maybe beyond your business? Or is that even something you think about?
No. So, okay, the short answer is don't hire mercenaries. People you come to you because you offer them a higher salary, they will go somewhere else for a higher salary. And second, as a company, don't be an asshole. Treat people properly and as human as you can and fair, and that was going to be rewarded. And as the growth, we lost quite a lot of people because they did outgrow us. Yeah, we had some really, really good tech leads who got offers to lead their own team in another product-oriented company with 60 to 100 engineers. We talked about it, and it's like, go. This is a really good career chance. So I wish them all the well. You know, you always meet twice in life. They might come back, and we had a lot of employees coming back. And for the statistics, we have half of the market average of regretful churn. So we are double better than everybody else, and that shows that we do something right.
Regretful churn.
Yeah.
You guys really dig into your metrics. I don't think I've ever heard that cited before.
Well, there are people where we're like, this person doesn't fit to us, so it's not regretful. So, especially if you don't have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
So we need to exchange people to people who can grow, who accept the new standards in software development around AI.
Yeah, this reminds me. I had a German COO who had the same concept. He basically said, "Look, if someone's good and they've grown beyond, let them leave." And he had success in his career, basically saying to those people, you know, your job's here. When you want to come back in a year, in 2 years' time. And some of those people would come back into the fold, and guess what? They had this whole other slate of experience that they never would have an opportunity, and that provides a whole different perspective for them when they come back into the company. I mean, you've only had the 2 jobs, which is...
But they told me I could come back if I wanted.
Ah,
but they told me that back then. I'm not sure if it still applies. We'll see.
Oh, I'd hate for you to varnish your reputation. No, I can't.
Sure.
Sorry, we'll cut that from the broadcast. I guess before we wrap up here, I want to thank both of you for jumping on this a little bit. It was a little bit last minute.
It was very last minute. I had no idea what this was about. I got ambushed by you.
That's the way I like it.
And I'm happy to be here with you lovely people at this great event at this wonderful location.
And because this is your first SCD, it probably is worth taking a moment to just share some of the great feedback that you gave to me.
Well, I love this venue, first and foremost. Like the Ruhrpott area, it's not the most glam place in Germany. However, I mean, the way this venue has been done is spectacular. I also love the openness. So I was supposed to be in Cologne today at a big, very businessy trade show wearing shirts and dress shoes. Yeah. And they told me, no, go here, go to Shopware. And I think I'm going to come back next year. The amount of useful conversations at the level I like it that I've had so far, and the amount of people, I see some familiar faces in the crowd. Yep. It's definitely worth my while. I'm going to come back. First, I'm going to report back to management and say, this is great. And I also want to come back with value. I want to come back with gifts. So I work at Varnish. Varnish was mentioned at the keynote as a potential caching solution. I want to make sure our open source version and Shopware's open source version, they work together. So this is a great introduction for me. Great people I met, lovely stuff. I'm hooked. I'm coming back.
Very good. This is not your first rodeo with Shopware, but how does this edition feel for you?
So I've been with Shopware like from the very, very, very first days. So I've attended every single Shopware community day back in the days. And I haven't been here last year because I thought, I need to fly, and I was in Asia, so I didn't do it. And I regretted it. I was really like, nah, I have to be there. I really have to be there. So I really like it. I like the new format. I like this place. Back in the days, I would say the concept was different. It was bigger, more people, but less focused. So I kind of like that format.
Very cool.
Much better.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for us. I want to thank you all. Thank everyone who worked so hard behind the scenes here to make this event happen, and completely seamless has been the experience that I would say. And of course, thank all of you for taking part in something that is brand new. You can find whatTheFunc, whenever they decide to index it. We're pushing out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and then you can always go to, well, it's not up there anymore, wtfunc.io. Oh man, you guys are on it.
Yes.
Right there, and that'll get you access to the episodes right away, and also you can link over to your streaming platforms of choice. So, my friends, thank you for being here. Please feel free to promote it.